Welcome to the Vibes Lab, your front row seat to the science behind VIA, the Vibes AI agentic platform making everyday brain health accessible to all. Every episode is designed to reveal insights that will enhance your cognitive health and well-being. Follow us to grab your lab key and experience limitless intelligence.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to explore something pretty amazing?
I am.
Today we're going to take a deep dive into sound therapy for autism.
Awesome.
We've got all sorts of research articles, overviews of how sound therapy is being used, and even a sneak peek at this new product from Vibes AI. Seems like everywhere you look lately, people are buzzing about the potential of sound to make a real difference for those on the spectrum.
It's true.
So let's break it all down and see if sound therapy really lives up to the hype.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an area worth exploring. What's really captivating people's attention is how sound therapy targets the core challenges of autism, not just the surface behaviors.
Right.
We often get caught up in the outward signs like communication struggles, sensory sensitivities, you know.
Absolutely.
But sound therapy goes deeper. It tackles the neurological and sensory processing differences at the root of these challenges.
Okay, so it's not just about managing symptoms. It's about understanding the unique ways individuals with autism experience the world, and then using sound to create positive changes at a fundamental level.
Exactly.
But before we dive into the how, maybe we could touch on some of those specific sensory processing challenges that are common with autism, because it's such a broad spectrum.
Absolutely. And that's key to understanding why sound therapy can be so impactful. We're not talking about one size fits all here.
Right.
For example, auditory hypersensitivity, that's a big one. Everyday sounds that most people wouldn't even notice can feel super intense, even painful.
Yeah.
And then you have tactile defensiveness, where certain textures or even being touched can be really upsetting.
Wow.
These sensory differences can make day-to-day life a real struggle.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm even more curious now about how sound therapy can help. It's not just listening to Mozart, right? What's actually going on here?
It's way more targeted than that. We're talking about using specific frequencies and rhythms to engage the brain and nervous system. Think of it like a well-designed workout, but for your neural pathways.
Okay, so we're strengthening the connections between different areas of the brain, especially the parts involved in processing sensory information, communication, and emotional regulation.
You got it. And one of the most fascinating things is how different frequencies seem to affect different abilities. For instance, research suggests that low frequencies, those below 750 hertz, can be incredibly grounding for folks dealing with sensory overload.
Grounding, so helping them feel more centered and connected to their body.
Precisely. It's like creating a sense of stability in the midst of chaos. Then you have those mid-range frequencies between 750 and 4,000 hertz.
Okay.
Studies have linked those to improvements in speech processing and focus.
Oh, so for someone struggling to filter out background noise or even understand speech, those mid-frequencies could be key.
Yeah. It's like giving the brain both tools to process all that auditory information coming in.
Okay.
And then we have those high frequencies, the ones above 4,000 hertz.
Okay.
Those are thought to tap into creativity and expression.
Wow.
Now, there are different methods out there that use this idea of frequency-specific benefits.
Uh-huh.
One that's well known is the Tomatis Method.
The Tomatis Method. I've heard that name, but I don't really know what it is.
Oh, it's fascinating. It uses a combo of air and bone conduction to deliver carefully filtered sounds. So you're not just hearing the sound through your ears, you're feeling the vibrations through your bones, especially in the skull.
Whoa, bone conduction. That's pretty amazing. But why is that important? Why not just stick with regular listening?
Well, the ear isn't just a passive receiver, you know. It plays a vital role in how we process information, regulate our nervous system, even develop our motor skills. By stimulating the auditory system in this multifaceted way, the Tomatis Method is aiming to improve not just auditory processing, but attention, balance, coordination, even emotional regulation.
Wow. That's incredible. I could already see how this could be so beneficial for individuals on the spectrum, especially those who have issues with things like auditory processing disorder or sensory sensitivities.
Yeah. And it all comes back to this amazing concept, neuroplasticity.
Okay.
Essentially, the brain's ability to rewire itself and make new connections.
Right.
This is really relevant for individuals with autism because although they might have differences in brain wiring, there's still this incredible potential for growth and change.
So with sound therapy, we're kind of helping the brain make new pathways. strengthening those connections, and maybe even creating workarounds for areas that might not be as developed.
Exactly. It's like paving new roads in the brain, creating smoother and more efficient routes for information to travel, like giving the brain the chance to reorganize and optimize how it functions.
This is all so exciting. It feels like we're on the verge of something truly transformative in how we understand and support autism. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I'm curious to hear about the actual benefits of sound therapy. What real-world improvements are we seeing?
That's a great question, and one I'm really excited to explore.
Yeah.
There's some promising research coming out across several areas, from communication and social skills to sensory processing, even emotional regulation.
Well, I'm all ears.
Great, let's dive into those specifics. Let's start with communication, often a big challenge for those on the spectrum.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is sound therapy doesn't just focus on spoken language.
Mm.
It brings in music and rhythm to help individuals express themselves better, both verbally and non-verbally.
So it's not just about learning new words, but finding different ways to communicate and connect.
Exactly. Music and rhythm can be super powerful tools, especially for individuals who struggle with traditional language.
That makes sense. Think about how music can evoke such strong emotions or tell a story without any words at all.
Right.
It taps into something deeper.
Exactly. And for individuals with autism who are highly sensitive to sounds, using carefully selected music and rhythms can actually help them become more comfortable, more engaged with sound.
Okay.
It's like retraining the ears and brain to work together better.
So it's like using music as a bridge to better communication and connection.
Yeah.
But what about social interaction? Another area that can be tricky for individuals on the spectrum. How does sound therapy help there?
A lot of sound therapy programs include group activities and exercises that encourage things like turn-taking, cooperation, even nonverbal communication. This can be super helpful for individuals who might find it hard to start or keep up social interactions.
It sounds like it creates this safe, structured environment for practicing those skills in a fun, engaging way.
Exactly. Providing a supportive space to experiment, make mistakes, learn from each other. What's interesting is music has this unique way of breaking down barriers and creating a sense of shared experience.
Yeah. Think about how people from all different walks of life can connect through music.
That's right.
It's a universal language.
It really is.
What about sensory sensitivities? We talked about how some individuals with autism are really sensitive to certain sounds.
Right.
How does sound therapy address that?
Well, that's crucial. Because while sound can be therapeutic, it can also be overwhelming for individuals who process sensory input differently.
Of course.
So we have to approach sound therapy with a lot of sensitivity and consideration.
So it's not just about blasting Mozart. What kinds of techniques do they use to help those with auditory sensitivities?
One technique is called desensitization. They gradually expose individuals to sounds that might be triggering, but in a really controlled and supportive environment. It's like slowly introducing them to a new food, small bites at first.
Okay.
So the goal isn't to avoid the sounds altogether, but help the brain learn to process them more efficiently.
Gotcha. So are there types of sounds that can actually be helpful?
Absolutely. Things like white noise or even nature sounds can be calming and block out other distracting noises.
It's like creating a buffer zone.
Exactly. And then there are techniques like rhythmic entrainment.
Rhythmic entrainment.
Yeah, it's where the brain waves actually sync up with the rhythm of the sound. This can be super powerful for regulating the nervous system and promoting a sense of calm and focus.
Wow, that's incredible. So it's not just listening for enjoyment. We're using specific rhythms to actually influence brainwave activity and make positive changes in the nervous system.
Exactly. And that's one area where companies like Vibes AI are really pushing the envelope.
Oh, right. Vibes AI, we were going to talk about. They're using binaural beats, right?
Yes. That's a whole other fascinating area of sound therapy. Deserves its own deep dive, for sure. But basically, binaural beats involve presenting slightly different frequencies to each ear, and the brain hears a third, phantom frequency, that can change brainwave activity. It's like the sonic illusion.
Okay, my mind is blown. This is all so fascinating. I really want to hear more about how Vibes AI is using this for personalized sound therapy.
Yeah, me too. But let's save that for the next part of our dive. We've got so much more to cover in this sonic adventure.
All right. Welcome back. Still processing all this fascinating stuff about sound therapy. Seems like it really can create some real change for individuals with autism.
It's definitely got a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if we haven't been paying enough attention to the power of sound all this time.
I know, right? So let's talk more about Vibes AI and their approach. We left off talking about binaural beats. Kind of sounds like something from Star Trek, to be honest.
Right.
Can you walk us through how they actually work?
It's surprisingly straightforward. Imagine putting on your headphones and each ear gets a slightly different frequency. Say, one ear gets a tone at 400 hertz and the other ear gets a tone at 410 hertz.
Okay.
Your brain, brilliant as it is, wants to make sense of this.
So it's a bit of a puzzle.
Yeah. And as it's figuring out these two different frequencies, it creates a third perceived frequency. In this case, a 10 hertz beat. That's the binaural beat.
So it's not an actual sound, it's something the brain creates itself.
Precisely. And this is where brainwaves come in. Different brainwave frequencies are linked with different states of consciousness, like delta waves during sleep, beta waves when you're alert and focused.
Okay.
By using specific binaural beats, we can sort of gently guide the brain towards a certain brainwave state.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like fine-tuning the brain with sound. I know Vibes AI is using theta and alpha brainwaves with their restorative audio track for autism. Why those specific frequencies?
Well, they're kind of the sweet spot. Theta waves are dominant during deep relaxation, meditation,
Right.
while alpha waves are associated with a calm but alert state, great for focus and creativity. And, for a lot of individuals with autism, getting to those states can be tough.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially with all the sensory overload, anxiety, and focus challenges many on the spectrum experience. So Vibes AI is trying to create a sort of sonic sanctuary for the brain, where it can chill out, recharge, and be more open to learning and change.
You got it. And what's even more impressive, they're using very specific frequencies within those theta and alpha ranges to address different needs. They've incorporated a 3 hertz frequency.
Okay.
Research shows this is particularly good at creating a deep sense of calm and peace, almost meditative.
Makes sense. If I was feeling overwhelmed or anxious, I'd love to be surrounded by those calming 3 hertz vibes. What about the other frequencies they're using?
They're also using 8 hertz and 10 hertz, which are a bit higher up in that alpha range. These are ideal for promoting relaxed attention and focus without feeling overstimulated. It's about finding that perfect balance.
Like Goldilocks.
Yeah.
Finding the just right brainwave state. So you've got these specific frequencies working in the background. What about the actual sound? What does this restorative audio track sound like?
Well, that's where the creativity comes in. Vibes AI is known for their immersive soundscapes. Imagine nature sounds, gentle rain, rustling leaves, ocean waves, blended with subtle melodies and, of course, those binaural beats, all designed to be very soothing and engaging.
Wow. It's like the perfect soundtrack for de-stressing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing that something as simple as listening to an audio track could have such a big impact on the brain. But is there any actual evidence this binaural beat therapy works?
That's a good question. Research specifically on binaural beats and autism is still pretty new, but there's more and more evidence that they can influence brainwave activity and have a positive effect on anxiety, focus, and even cognitive performance.
So while the jury's still out on the specific applications for autism, there's a solid research base showing potential benefits.
Exactly. And knowing the challenges individuals with autism often face, sensory issues, difficulty managing emotions, problems with focus and attention, it makes a lot of sense. It's definitely an area that needs more research.
I agree. It's exciting to think we're still discovering so much about the brain and how something like sound can create such big shifts in how we experience things. But coming back to Vibes AI, what are they hoping to achieve with these restorative audio tracks? Are they just aiming for relaxing soundscapes?
I think they're aiming for something much bigger, empowering individuals with autism to take charge of their own well-being.
Wow. So it's not just about treating symptoms, but giving individuals the tools to manage their own experiences, create a sense of control in a world that can feel overwhelming.
You said it. Imagine being able to access that calm, focused state whenever you need to, like to deal with sensory overload at the store, reduce anxiety before a social event, or just improve your mood on a tough day. That's transformative.
Like having a sonic toolbox.
Right. And it's not just limited to folks with autism. We all deal with stress, anxiety, trouble focusing sometimes.
Totally. Maybe sound therapy could help everyone, whether you're on the spectrum or not.
I think so. If sound can make such a difference for individuals with autism, imagine what it could do for everyone's well-being.
Yeah. It's a good reminder that even the simplest things can have a huge impact. It's like we've had this amazing tool all along, and we're just now figuring it out.
I agree. And it's great to see companies like Vibes AI leading the way, combining science and creativity to create something truly impactful. They're not just treating symptoms, they're changing lives.
It makes you wonder what other cool uses for sound therapy we'll find in the future. But for now, let's zoom out a bit and recap what we've learned about Vibes AI. What are the key takeaways for you?
For me, it's their commitment to using sound in a really specific and intentional way. They're not just creating nice soundscapes, they're using frequencies and sounds to create specific brain states and promote well-being. It's a perfect blend of science and art.
Yeah, it's like they've cracked the code of how the brain works, using sound to communicate with the nervous system.
That's a great way to put it. And it really highlights the importance of personalization. Just like everyone with autism is different, their response to sound will be unique.
Like a sonic fingerprint.
Precisely. And as we learn more about sound therapy, we'll discover even more about the subtle ways it impacts the brain and body. We're just at the beginning. The possibilities are huge.
This has been such an eye-opening, an ear-opening experience.
Yeah.
But we're not done yet. We've covered a lot of the science and tech, but I'm curious about the actual impact. What are people saying about Vibes AI and their restorative audio track? Are people with autism really seeing benefits?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And one we'll definitely dive into in the next part of our deep dive. We'll hear from people who've actually used Vibes AI, talk about the potential upsides and downsides, and look at what the future holds for this field.
Sounds good. Can't wait. All right, welcome back. We've been exploring this incredible world of sound therapy for autism.
We have.
From the science behind specific frequencies to how Vibes AI is using it, it's pretty clear sound can make a real difference. But how does this fit into the bigger picture of how we support people with autism?
You know, that's the question that's been swirling in my head, too.
Yeah.
We've spent so long focused on changing behavior, teaching social skills, trying to help people fit in.
Right.
What if we changed our approach and started focusing on the unique way individuals on the spectrum experience things?
So, like, we've been trying to change the individual to fit the world instead of adapting the world to better support the individual.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I see sound therapy being so important. It's not about trying to fix autism, but understanding and supporting how individuals experience the world, and then using sound to help them thrive.
Instead of just looking at outward behaviors, we're addressing the underlying sensory and neurological differences.
Precisely. And sound therapy gives us these incredible tools to influence brain activity,
Yeah.
calming the nervous system, promoting neuroplasticity. It's like giving the brain the support it needs to rewire itself, to create new ways of processing information, managing emotions, and interacting with the world.
It's amazing to think something as simple as sound can have such a powerful impact. But let's get to some real-world examples. What are people saying about Vibes AI and their restorative audio track? Are individuals actually benefiting from it?
Well, the early feedback is really promising. Parents are saying their kids are calmer, more focused, and they're handling sensory overload better after using the program.
That's so great to hear. Any specific stories that really stick out?
There was one that really got to me. This mom was talking about how her son, who used to have terrible meltdowns whenever things changed, was now able to handle transitions so much better after listening to the track.
Wow.
She said it was like he found a new sense of peace and was more resilient.
So sound therapy is giving them tools to handle their emotions and how they react to the world.
Yeah, it's about giving them control.
That feeling of control can be life-changing.
Absolutely. And it's not just for people with autism.
Yeah.
We all could use some help with stress and focus sometimes, right?
I know I could. So maybe sound therapy is something that could benefit everyone, regardless of whether they're on the spectrum or not.
I think so. Imagine the potential.
It's like we're starting to grasp this ancient universal language sound. It's been used for healing for centuries, and we're finally understanding the science behind it.
It is fascinating.
Think about all the possibilities. Personalized tracks, sound environments for relaxation and focus. It's like a sonic revolution.
I love that. A sonic revolution. Always something new to discover.
And sometimes the answers are right in front of us waiting to be heard.
So true. As we finish this dive into sound therapy, I hope everyone listening feels inspired to explore the power of sound.
Yes.
Maybe it's listening to nature sounds, experimenting with binaural beats, or just taking a few moments of quiet to tune in.
It's about being open to the possibilities, realizing that sound isn't just something we hear. It's something we experience. It shapes our emotions, thoughts, even who we are.
Beautifully put. Thanks for joining us on this sound adventure.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep listening.
The world is full of wonders. Sometimes all we need to do is open our ears to hear them. Thanks for listening.